All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life, I've been grinding all my life. Yeah, all my life.
Welcome to Darren and Sterling here on ESPN Kansas City, 1510 AM, 94.5 FM, 1510.com, Twitter and Facebook Live. If you want to find us, you can find us. We got all the social medias rocking today. I'm Sterling Holmes live in studio on this gloomy Friday, but at least it's Friday and it's made a little bit better by the massive Chiefs news. First, Darren, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm the one that said this was happening a long time ago.
You know I said it before you, right? I can pull the audio if you want me to.
I highly doubt you can, simply because I'm getting feedback in my ear. But the reason why I know this, because I signed up for the Super Bowl. That the Chiefs need to go and make sure that they acquire this guy, because we saw how exposed they were in the game. And so I knew Orlando Brown, before the Super Bowl started, wanted to get out of Baltimore because he wanted to take a tackle. And because
I said it before the Super Bowl, Darren. I said it before the Super Bowl. I can pull the audio.
Do that. But all that being said, obviously, big news, Kansas City. For them to be able to acquire Orlando Brown, this is big. I always thought that this should be the move that they make, instead of trying to go after Trent Williams. He was going to cost an arm and leg. Now, we'll see how much and see whether or not Brett Veach overpays for Orlando Brown. But I like to do one. He's 8 years younger than Trent Williams. He wants to play left tackle. He switched between left tackle and right tackle over the last couple of seasons, so he knows what it's like to protect the blind side of your MVP quarterback. So he did that with Lamar Jackson, and Lamar was a lot more active running the football than Patrick has ever been. And so I like the fact that he's 6'8", 6'9", 345 pounds. This is the guy. If he has any type of nastiness in him, this is going to be good for Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes will actually have the time to make plays and make reads in the backfield to be able to get the ball. And then you pair him with Lucas Yang on the other side, and of course, obviously, what you got with Bill Thuney, Kyle Long, and everyone else. Kansas City has finally made the move that I thought they would make a long time. So shout out to them.
Orlando Brown, the final trade is Chiefs get Brown, a second-round draft pick in this year, a sixth-rounder in 2022. Baltimore gets the first-rounder this year, which is 31 overall, third round, fourth round, and a 2022 fifth-round draft pick. The basic breakdown when you go through value of draft picks is it ends up basically being Orlando Brown for a 31st overall draft pick, which I think everyone can agree is a fantastic job by Brett Veach to get your current and future left tackle. This was the move that I think separates Kansas City from the rest in the AFC now. Kansas City was already the favorite, but the question was, can they protect Patrick? Now they can. The Ravens, I don't know why they would trade with the one team above you. Like, why would they do that, especially when you're not getting the value back that I think a lot of teams thought it was going to cost to acquire a premier left tackle? But if you're Brett Veach and you're Kansas City, you have to be nothing but ecstatic right now.
Well, a couple of things, Sterling. One, as I said before on the show, that the value of what you would end up paying for Trent Williams may not be as much as what you're going to end up with the contract extension or what you're going to do with Orlando Brown again. Because if you're Kansas City, you expect to be drafting this low for years to come. And that's not a bad thing. If you're drafting this low, that's a good thing. On top of that, again, they didn't have to give up like 2 or 3 first-round draft picks for Orlando Brown, which is what I told people before, that it's not going to cost that much. And you could have probably traded some players to go along with it. But the fact that you're giving up 3 draft picks this year and a 5th round, a late draft pick next year, again, this is the way to go if you're Kansas City. Now, look, I don't know what the overall price tag is going to cost on this contract extension. You could technically, I believe this year he's going to be on his 5th-year deal. So you could technically just, whatever you do, you're going to add on, after this particular season, and that's going to be his new contract extension. But again, you got Patrick, who's 25 going on 26. You got this guy who's 24. You will have Patrick protected for at least the next 5, 6, 7 years. Again, if you're a Chiefs fan, you have to now. I've gotten some texts from people from the NFL that were saying that they don't like to trade, but I told you that this would happen. But
I don't know how you can possibly not like this trade. This seems like an absolute fleecing by Kansas City.
Well, I know our guy Lebo said he was for it as well, and I don't know if it's because he got rid of but when you look at it again, you got somebody who's going to be able to grow along with Patrick, and if what we saw in Tampa Bay, and I saw it live in living color, you do not want to have your quarterback, your $500 million quarterback, out here running around like a chicken with his head cut off, trying to make things happen. We saw how important Eric Fisher, in his absence was in that ball game. So, if we got somebody who they would have been able to stay healthy, if you can do that over years to come, again, I like this move. Now, it's going to be a situation where you become even more top heavy, and that's something that I got a chance to ask Greg Beach, which we'll play a little bit later. But when if you're going to have Patrick Mahomes and $500 million, you need to make sure that you got somebody that's going to be able to protect them for many years to come in. Not that Trent Williams would not have made a big difference here. He absolutely would have. But again, remember, he's 32 years old. If he gets injured, kind of like Eric Fisher, it's going to take him a longer time to recover than it would a 24-year-old. And so, not that I'm breaking the bread on something that's going to happen to him, but at the end of the day, Orlando Brown, 6'9", 345, 8 years younger than Trent Williams, wants to play left tackle. How many people want to play left tackle? You know what I'm saying? I mean, some people like well, can't say how to do. They have to make a makeshift line. You don't have to worry about that with this guy. So you got him. You got Joe Thuney on that left side. And man, 17 games this season. I'm gonna be talking with DeMaurice Smith about it this Sunday. We're gonna see some big numbers from Patrick this year. Now I'm not saying they're going 17-0. I'm not gonna go there, but they are going to be much, much better, much, much more complete with this move.
The left side now became one of the best in the NFL with Orlando Brown Jr. and Joe Thuney. Those two dudes right there, Pro Bowlers. This is a fantastic offensive line. You know, we were talking yesterday with Jeff Chadia of the NFL Network, and I said this is a pretty darn good. You said he did or didn't?
No. Well, it's just like you said. I'll show you. He didn't like the trade if they were to do it before they did it.
Oh, you can't. Well, after seeing what they gave up, there's no way he would dislike this trade unless he's a Ravens fan. The only people who dislike this trade are Ravens fans because they should have gotten more and they shouldn't have traded him to your rival or at least someone who is above you and you're trying to catch when it comes to making the playoffs. It makes no sense.
Here's the flip side. One, we don't know who else may have been in the running for Orlando Brown, so you don't really know who else or what else they might have been offered because they might not have been offered King Ransom from anyone else. Now, here's the thing. The player, and I ran across the name earlier, but the player that they have at left tackle already, or that they brought in, they're paying the King ransom too. And so it was a situation where Orlando Brown wanted to play left tackle. They already have someone that's set at left tackle with the amount of money that they're going to be making. Plus, the player that they're looking at bringing in, Villanueva, he's going to be moving on to the right tackle to replace him. So really, the Ravens were trying to get him off the books and get it because he didn't want to be there. And this is what I kept telling people: Orlando Brown did not want to be there any longer. And so because if he couldn't play left tackle, he didn't want to be there. So basically, you get what you can for him, and because Ozzie Newsome is still a part of the organization some way, I can assure you that they'll be drafting very well with those picks that the Chiefs get. And one of the things that, again, I had Brett reached this earlier, about being, feeling pressure because we've talked about how he hasn't really done well in his draft picks over the last few years. Now, we may have a disagreement on who may pan out to be a great draft for his, a great draft pick for his, but right now, that was one of the things we were worried about. What's he going to be able to get in this draft? And I kept telling you trade up if you can with Baltimore to go get Orlando Brown. And now they were able to trade down or trade out of the first round, and they got Orlando Brown for a steal. So, maybe Brett needs to bring me on as a paid advisor or something that we just don't, disclose to the media. But I'm pretty.
I'll just say he's okay without first round draft picks. Brett Veach is going to be okay without a first-round draft pick. We've seen time and time again this team, his only first-round draft pick, he drafted a running back first round. So I'll be okay with him not having a first-round draft pick. Overall, if you're given the if you're just given the opportunity of giving up number 31 for someone who's going to be at left tackle to protect Patrick now and for the future, you're going to do it every single time. Now it's time to get into the contract negotiations with Orlando Brown Jr. I know I've seen conflicting reports on Twitter. Again, take everything with a grain of salt. I've seen some say he's going to get less than Trent Williams. I've seen some say there hasn't been any talks currently about a trade extension yet. I would be hard-pressed to say that Brett Veach didn't at least talk to Orlando Brown before and say, hey, will you be amiable to signing an extension here? Like, I don't think that they're going to pull a Bill O'Brien and Laramie Tunsil where they literally didn't say anything to him until he gets to Houston, and then Laramie Tunsil just becomes the highest paid tackle because, well, what else was Bill O'Brien and the Texans going to do? I think that Brett Veach has probably talked with Orlando Brown, his agents, and they probably have some stuff going on behind the scenes. That'd be my best guess.
Yeah, I mean, trust me. The only regret, and I was actually Jeff when I got it, Jeff about this is that when I got it, when I was on the Zoom today, I wanted to ask about Orlando Brown specifically, simply because I've talked about that and I've talked about it in terms of Brown, but because our guy Saran Petro kind of went around and got the question before I did. This is why I didn't ask about it specifically, but as well as others, just talking about getting around for some time. Now, at the end of the day, we'll see. Because look, you don't have to rush right now to get or to sign a contract extension at this moment. Now they probably will, because they're probably kind of guesstimate on what the salary cap will be next year. And to be quite honest, you probably do want to get it out of the way now. So so in case he plays extremely well, and you don't sign him this season, his price will even skyrocket even more. The thing is, you're going to have to pay it because of what you gave up to get him, and this position calls for it. So I'm not going to say he's going to get as much as Trent Williams, but he ain't going hungry no time soon.
I think the best part about this is now Kansas City can go anywhere they want with their draft picks. They are no longer pigeonholed into drafting a left tackle at 31. That's the best part, is they weren't going to have to reach. I don't know if he was or was not going to anyways, but now they don't, and they won't reach for a tackle at 31. That's maybe the best part, because now you can focus on, do you want a receiver in the second round? Do you want a linebacker? Do you want a cornerback? Do you want a center? Do you want to try and get your future center on this roster? We've talked about the Indianapolis Colts and how they built their O-line. Do the Chiefs want to follow that mantra? The Chiefs can now, they've opened up so many more possibilities with this trade. This was a phenomenal, masterful job by Brett Veach. Again, he's not done phenomenal in the draft. I think we can all agree there. We're not going to just sit down and say Brett Veach has been perfect. He's had some faults, but when it comes down to the big trades, he's pretty much nailed them time and time again.
He has. It also shows that people do this. I've obviously got no qualms with this trade. I got no qualms with the move that they made. I wish it would have been done a little bit sooner. But of course, as I said before, you will probably get this as you get nearer and closer to the draft, because that's when a lot of stuff gets to moving and shaking, because people want to kind of start getting their position set. And look, the other thing is this. I'm thinking back to the conference. It's one of those things to me where you start to wonder, did you really, who are you really, if anything, looking to or looking at in this draft or with these picks? Because as Brett Veach mentioned in our Zoom earlier today, that you kind of know where you're going with your first 15 picks, and then it's kind of like after that, you're kind of trying to go for the best available talent, or if you can move up and get somebody that that you might be able to steal. That's those are trades that you try to see or that you try to make, because that was one thing that I was interested in. Like, hey, are you generally you like to make a move? And is this a draft that you can see yourself moving up? Because I joked about earlier, about them moving up to number 4 and getting Kyle Pitts. So kind of trying to keep Travis Kelce and extend his career for a little bit. But all I know is that at the end of the day, Brett Veach did move.
One thing first, I think it's very funny. I don't know whether to be honored or disappointed. I got followed by a liquor store on Twitter by Metcalf Discount Liquors. I have no idea if they recognized me or if they just decided to follow me. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I do want to give a shout out from Hayes, Kansas on Facebook Live. Brant was listening, so I want to give him a shout out. We got a Ravens fan on the Facebook Live page laughing, saying that you call this a fleecing. We drafted him in the 3rd round, and now we got back, a first rounder. I got to say, that's like saying, okay, Patrick was drafted 15th overall. Like, you think he's only worth a first rounder because of where he was drafted? No, like Tom Brady was a 6th round draft pick. You don't think, like, if they would have offered the Pats a 3rd rounder, you think that would have been a fair, the Pats would have been happy then? No. Once you see how these guys play in an actual NFL game, that's when you can determine value. I think the Chiefs did a phenomenal job. I don't care that he was drafted in the 3rd round. He's obviously worth more than a 3rd round talent. Maybe he was raw. He filled out. He's obviously a stud. So I don't like the saying, oh, well, he was drafted in the 3rd round, so he was only worth a 3rd round talent. That to me is just, you can't even make that comparison.
I mean, look, if anybody got fleeced, I mean, I don't think anyone got fleeced. I think you got, Baltimore wasn't going to go without, and so and he did not have to collect the farm for what to get him up here. Now, Orlando Brown played well, you know what I'm saying, and he played well on both sides of the football. And then again, he asked for a trade in the offseason because he wanted to play left tackle, but but of course that position belongs to Ryan Stanley, and they weren't going to acquiesce to it. So, to be quite honest, this is something that really worked out for all parties involved. It worked out for Orlando, worked out for the Ravens. Again, the Ravens already had a left tackle. They're going to be getting a right tackle in Alejandro Villanueva this week. So when they sign him, he'll be working the right tackle. And in the run, the tackle in Kansas City protecting another MVP. So I mean, I don't want to say fleece, but I think fleece is the true part of a phrase or a word in this instance, because I think everybody got what they wanted. And to be quite honest, this is better than a quote-unquote political compromise, because in a situation like that, nobody gets everything that they want. This is a situation where literally everybody got what they want.
I think the Ravens may have gotten what they wanted if it wasn't with Kansas City. If it wasn't a team that they were trying to be better than and to chase down. If they did his trade with the Jets, then sure. But it's not with the Jets. It's with Kansas City, the team above you.
I mean, that's fair.
You gave the one advantage the Ravens had over Kansas City was they could get to the quarterback because the Chiefs' left tackle was so weak.
Well,
that's not the case anymore.
Okay, well, when they played Kansas City last year, how often did they get to Patrick Mahomes? Because remember now, Kansas City went to Baltimore and ran rush hour. So it really didn't matter because Patrick Mahomes has had their number whether you had Orlando Brown there or not. And so again, you already have a left tackle there that in Ronnie said he just happened to have an ankle injury when he was down. This time around, now you got and look at this. You got somebody that's more athletic and more agile than Eric Fisher. And Eric Fisher played what?
Eric Fisher's was his best attribute was his athleticism. I think that I would say Orlando Brown's bigger and stronger. He's going to be better in pass protection. But I, as far as athleticism goes, Eric Fisher was drafted 1-1 based on his athleticism.
Okay, so Eric Fisher is 31 now. All I'm saying, all I'm saying again, you got a guy that's 7 years younger than that. I'm saying, so you got a lot of things working in your favor. If you're Orlando Brown, if you're the Chiefs again, I get the whole. Well, I can't believe that they traded Kansas City, but again, we don't know if anybody else is interested because I know there was talk that maybe 5 or 6 teams were interested in them, but. But here's the thing. If you're Baltimore, that also shows that you're confident enough in yourself that you don't think you do trade with the Chiefs to get this guy off your roster. Because one, here's what I'm going to tell you. They were not going to resign. They were not. They were also not going to tag him. So why let him walk for free when you can get something for him? And look, Kansas City might have just had the best haul than everyone else. I mean, he may have gave 2 or maybe 2 picks, whatever. Kansas City gave him 4. I mean,
Sure.
so at the end of the day, again, I believe I think all parties involved got what they wanted in the
Sure, that's fair. Again, I think Laramie Tunsil almost made the market unfair because Laramie Tunsil got way more than probably he should have. And so if you're basing it off what Laramie Tunsil got, you're like, okay, wait, maybe hold the phone. But I think that was more of a case of Bill O'Brien doing a Bill O'Brien than anything else. As far as Orlando Brown for Kansas City Chiefs fans, he ranked at 91.3% pass win rate as far as pass blocking, pass protection. So 91 out of 100 times, Pat's going to be protected. That's good to know, right? That you're comfortable knowing that Orlando Brown will be his best when it comes to protecting Patrick. He struggles a little bit when it comes to run blocking as far as how he's graded. He's more of a pass protection guy, but Andy Reid has kind of shown that's the way he wants to go on this offensive line anyways. He wants to get guys who are better in pass pro than run pro. The Chiefs don't have a whole bunch of guys who get pushes up on the offensive line. We might not see that again this season, but at least Patrick, the most valuable asset, will be protected.
Here's the one other thing that you want to keep in mind as well. If you know Patrick has said in the offseason that he wants to be more accurate and he wants to be more consistent in the passing game versus the game. So if you got somebody that's going to give him all the time more and allow him to go through his progression, go through his reads, instead of him just snapping the ball and then kind of running for his life trying to make plays happen out of nowhere. I think if you're Patrick Mahomes, and you're Chiefs fan, you like this move all the way.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I think that, and we've heard from offensive linemen, I know that Jeff Schwartz, Mitchell Schwartz's brother, has been pretty open about it on Twitter, that Patrick likes to drop back a lot farther than most quarterbacks. And Patrick himself has said he needs to work on that a little bit and not sway and not drift as much back in the pocket. And maybe having knowing, I guess, that your left tackle's not going anywhere, knowing that you have Joe Tooney now at left guard, knowing that his offensive line's probably a little bit more sturdy, he may not have that in the back of his mind saying, I need to sway, I need to drift, I need to keep going back, because that adds more pressure on the offensive line. That makes it more difficult on the tackles when they're having to widen down and go back. So maybe Patrick will be a little bit more, I don't want to say poised, because he's always poised, but a little bit more traditionally under control in the pocket on these 5-step drops. I think that could really help out as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that whatsoever. It's just one of those situations where, again, everybody gets what they want out of this. And now, this is what Patrick has to do this time around. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. It's up to Patrick now that you literally have everything that you want. You have protection. Everybody, everybody saw last year, or at least saw back in February, what you look like when you're out there running for your life. You now have the best protection that you can possibly get right now with Joe Tooney on the right side. The right side, we will see expectations are going to be very high for Lucas Niang. And of course, you still have a doctor when he comes back as well. And of course, you got the center. So I think that with your offensive line, it can't get any better than what it is. You still got Tyreek Hill, you got Travis Kelce, of course you got your. We talk about whether or not DeMarcus Robinson and a few others will be able to step up. It's going to be up to Patrick, and Patrick should be held feet to the fire. And Patrick has to make his receivers and everyone else better and elevate their game. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. We talked about how Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a first-round draft pick, as a wide receiver or basically as an offensive weapon since he's been a starter for Green Bay. But what has someone like Devontae Adams? They've played themselves to be into a number one wide receiver position, and Aaron Rodgers has done his part in making sure that he's elevated his play. That's what Patrick needs to do. So when we had the discussion yesterday about DeMarcus Robinson and the amount of catches and yards and touchdowns, stuff like that, well, Patrick needs to make sure that he is also elevating their play. I know he's going to focus a lot on Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, But it's also going to be up to Patrick to make sure that everybody else plays and that he gets everybody else to play at a higher level as well.
Yeah. And I think that, honestly, Jeff Padilla, like you said it best yesterday, was Devontae Adams. That's about all Aaron Rodgers has. He makes guys like Lazard, just a whole bunch of other almost no-name wide receivers put up numbers, and that's what Patrick needs to start doing with guys like Byron Pringle, like D-Rob, and like McCole. Because McCole Hardman, he was a second-round draft pick. You know, at some point you have to say, hey, the Chiefs at least went out and tried. They at least tried getting him some more talent. I do want to go back really quickly to Orlando Brown. In his 700 snaps at left tackle, filling in for Ronnie Staley, 0 sacks.
Yeah,
0 sacks.
Yep.
16 pressures overall. No quarterback hits. I mean, what more could you possibly want in a left tackle than what Orlando Brown showed you last season? I don't think there's anything else. At his age, too. That means he's going to get better.
I just think you just need Darren Smith on the payroll. I swear I can pick this stuff out. And I'll be honest with you. Now, here's a question that I want to ask. Well, you know what? Let's do this. Let's go to break because I do want to, jump into another discussion as it relates to what we think the Chiefs are going to do next. But let's take a quick time out, Sterling, and then come back and also play some Brett Beach audio. You're listening to Darren and Sterling right here on ESPN Kansas City.
Hi, this is Justin Cole, Private Wealth Manager at Creative Planning. Over the last few years, we have grown to one of the largest nationally recognized wealth management firms in the country. While we are proud of our success, we are most proud of our Kansas City roots. We were founded in Kansas City and remain headquartered here because there's no place we'd rather be. We are Kansas City strong. Thank you, Kansas City, and thank you to our clients. If you're not a client, we invite you to reach out for a free, no-obligation financial review. You can find us at creativeplanning.com or by calling 913-338-2727.
Join Union Broadcasting in thanking local companies that care. Union Broadcasting salutes CBD American Shaman for their support of the Derek Thomas and Neil Smith Third and Long Foundation, sacking illiteracy among urban youth. Through social, cultural, and educational activities, the Third and Long Foundation helps participating children in school and beyond. You can also help by donating at thirdandlong.org. Thank you, CBD American Shaman, for being a company that cares.
Harry's Razors just came out with their sharpest blades ever. But unlike other razor companies, they're not charging you more. Harry's new sharper blades are still as low as $2 each. You heard me right, just $2. How do they do it? Harry's owns a German factory that's been honing razor blades for 100 years. They source their steel from Sweden and own the entire manufacturing process, from research and development to the factory floor. It allows them to keep the prices lower. How confident are they? A 100% quality guarantee. You'll see it at harrys.com. Blades are even delivered directly to you. No getting unmasked and standing in line. They're delivered straight to your door, with or without a subscription. And right now, Harry's has a great offer for my listeners. New customers get $5 off a Harry's trial set when you use the promo code PETRO, P-E-T-R-O, at harrys.com. That's a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, foaming shape gel, and travel cover, all for just $3, plus free shipping. That's razor, weighted handle, foaming shave gel, and travel cover, all for $3, shipped to you for free. Only at harrys.com, only with promo code PETRO.
Sports Radio 810 and Union Broadcasting buy all of our office supplies from a great local company, Office Products Alliance. Mark Whitlow and his team provide us with everything we need, when we need it, at competitive prices. Office Products Alliance is a great Kansas City company who cares about our community and cares about you. By supporting local Kansas City companies and charities, we all make Kansas City a better place for all of us. OPA is online at opakc.com.
A KC tradition since 1957 and voted the best steak in Kansas City, Hereford House is a locally owned steakhouse that has served generations of Kansas Cityans. Hereford House exclusively serves certified Hereford beef. All their steaks are aged 21 days, hand-cut daily, and grilled over an open charcoal flame. Go to HerefordHouse.com for hours, new menu items, and to make your reservations. Follow Hereford House on Facebook and Instagram for exclusive specials. Hereford House, voted Kansas City's favorite steakhouse.
Welcome back to Darren and Sterling here on ESPN Kansas City. Rest in peace to Shock G, passed away yesterday at the age of 57. For those of you all who know Digital Underground, you know Shock G played Shock G and Humpty. I did not know that until later on in life, Sterling. So, um, pronounced with the umpty. Gosh, pretty good, pretty good. Gonna miss him. Of course, he was the one that helped discover Tupac Shakur when Tupac was in Digital Underground. Sterling, this is a little history for you because I know you didn't know none of this stuff. So, little musical stuff too. But going back to Orlando Brown for a second, people have to understand. You got a two-time Pro Bowl player, and you got him for the dirt. Brett Veach, he listens to smart people. He listens to the show. That's why. That's what makes him smart. And of course, he made the trade. But as you said, Stroman, he came in. He was the ninth. I believe he was the ninth tackle chosen in 2018. Now, mind you, that means Kansas City kind of overlooked him, but they wasn't in the need for an offensive tackle, I guess, that year at that time. But got a guy, two-time Pro Bowler, play right tackle, left tackle. And look, if by chance, no, it's not going to happen. He's going to be the left tackle, but he can play the right side if for some reason it was necessary. But I'm pretty sure, with this trade, he's coming in understanding, the Chiefs are coming in understanding that he's a left tackle, period. And there is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But
Oh yeah, he's a left tackle. The Chiefs have a plethora of guys who can play right tackle. Chiefs have like 6 dudes who you can throw at right tackle, and I'd be like, all right, I'm okay with it. This is the only guy they have at left tackle that I'm actually comfortable. They have like 2 question marks in case of emergency you break. Outside of that, no.
So I want to ask you, well, let's do this. Brett Beach earlier today held a Zoom call with a few of us. I got a chance to ask Brett Beach a couple of questions, and I can't remember when I sent you the audio, Sterling, whether or not I chopped my first part of the question off. But basically, there's 2 questions that I asked Brett Beach, and of course, with the team being top heavy, what are they looking at as it relates to free agency when it comes to wide receivers and, of course, linemen, maybe in the draft or via trade or something like that, and whether or not he feels any pressure to get the picture right this year, that based off of the conversation that Sterling and Jeff and I had on yesterday, and this is what he had to say. Brett, thanks again for doing this. 2 quick questions. Obviously, the team is kind of top heavy with the star players that you pay with the salary, but looking at the trade market or even on the free agency, where you all at with maybe getting a number 2 wide receiver? I know Antonio Brown has been linked to, via Bleacher Report to being a good fit for Kansas City. What do you think about him possibly coming in? And also, do you feel pressured each year to get the picks right and hope that they pay off for you?
Well, as far as the wideout position, certainly we're excited. Having Tyreek and McCole, getting D-Rod back for us was big, and we're certainly extremely high on Byron Pringle. I think we all believe in him and the progress and the work that he's put in. We're certainly hopeful for him. We have Antonio Callaway coming in. We're excited about him, and it's just Zoom now. We'd like to get these guys in and get your hands on them, and hopefully by the end of training camp we will. But we're certainly excited about his athletic skill set and what he can do. And I think from there, I think there's a number of different scenarios that could play out in the draft. Pete talked about pockets earlier. I think there's a mid-round pocket that we're excited about. So I don't think that we'd be in any rush to do anything on the free agency market because of where we are. We like the 4 or 5 guys that we have on our roster. That in combination with what we think will be available for us during the middle rounds of the draft, I think would be something that we'll put a priority in. Now, listen, things could change, and after the draft, and once we get closer to training camp, depending on injuries and how things shake out, we'll always keep our free agency board updated and be ready to go. But I think our priority right now is to see what we can add in regards to the draft, and then certainly every pick. I mean, there's a lot of pressure, and when you do have those contracts like the star players we have, it's hard to, have expensive depth level players. So you have to find those in the draft. You have to build depth. And, I think we made obviously big strides last year. I think last year's draft class is going to turn out to be an excellent one. We're excited to get Lucas back in the mix here. And I think all these guys that we drafted last year are going to be ready to continue their growth and development and continue to add to our roster. So, yeah, I mean, we're looking forward to putting another class as strong as last year's and hoping that builds a good foundation for us moving forward.
Sterling.
I think that he's kind of on the same boat as me, which I'm happy with. Is there's not really any great free agents out there. Sure, Antonio Brown has the talent, but again, the off the field issues. There's a good pocket, round 3 to 5, that Kansas City could take a look at wide receiver. A place where there's enough guys that you're not reaching for, and if one falls to you at the right pick, the right time, you feel comfortable going out and getting that guy. I don't necessarily like the mantra of we're happy having D-Rob, McCole, and Byron as 2, 3, 4.
I was going to ask you about that because when you start listening, I was like, damn, we got a lot of wide receivers. And I'm like, do we really need a number 2? I'm like, maybe one of these players will actually step up. But when you start going down the list, McCole, Pringle, and of course DeMarcus and the rest of them, I'm like, well, I mean, if you were looking to bring Juju Smith-Schuster in, or talking about Kenny, I think you talked about Kenny Galladay or someone.
Yeah,
maybe
Marvin Jones Jr.
Yeah, Marvin. Maybe we really don't have a number 2 wide receiver. So again, he named about what sound like 6 or 7 of them.
Antonio Galloway. I mean, just to me though, the Chiefs they have the depth pieces at wide receiver. Like, you're comfortable with McCole as your 3rd, probably. You're pretty comfortable with D-Rob as your 3rd, probably. You're okay with Byron as your number 3. You just don't really have that bona fide number 2. And maybe we're putting too much of an emphasis on it. And, again, I keep going back to Jeff saying yesterday, well, maybe that's where Patrick needs to step up and make one of those guys a number 2, just how Aaron Rodgers did with Devontae and his supporting cast of just average guys. Well, maybe Patrick and kind of Veach touched on it later on in the question you asked him by saying it makes it tough to have expensive depth pieces when you will have all these big name top end guys like Travis, like Tyreek, like Patrick, like it's going to be Orlando Brown and Joe Tooney. You're going to have to eventually have these cheaper depth pieces, and either they're going to be rookies or they may not be the bona fide number 2s like you thought they were going to be.
Plus, but also you have to make sure that you hit right in the draft, because you're going to be drafting fairly late players, which means they're going to be fairly cheap, but you have to make sure that they can contribute and play right away so you can get some return on the investment for what you're going after, because otherwise, again, you can't always look into free agency to try to build this team because the well is going to go the well is going to go dry very, 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 very soon. It may not do it next year because of the expansion of the salary cap, but Travis isn't getting any younger. You're going to have to re-sign Tyreek or redo his contract next season. Of course, you're still looking at doing that with Tyrann Mathieu because this is his last year, so you're looking to extend him as well. So, I mean, there's a lot that Brett Veach still has to do, which is why I say he gets paid the big bucks. So I wanted to ask you, of course, if you want to call in and give your thoughts on the Orlando Brown trade, you can do so at 913-491-8255. So I want to ask you, what's next for Kansas City? I mean, obviously, we've got the draft next week, and I don't even know how the first couple rounds are going to go now. So the Chiefs I don't know when I got to look and see. I think they got a second round pick, but
now they have a 58 at least.
So they have that. But looking at that, what do you see the next big move for Kansas City? It doesn't have to be the draft, but it could be free agent or a trade. What's the next move that Kansas City addresses now that they've gotten to a tackle situation?
Well, I think that's the beauty of this is now you don't have any holes this season. I mean, going forward, you might have some contracts coming up, but as far as this season goes, I think you're pretty set. We all want the number 2 wide receiver, but you're probably not going to get an impact number 2 where Brett Veach wants it. His pocket made it seem like mid-round, which is 3 to 5. You're probably not getting a bona fide number 2 year 1 in that spot. So now you draft for the future. This gives Kansas City so much more options. Do you want to bolster safety? You do run a lot of 3 safety, and Dan Sorensen's not getting any younger. Do you want to bolster cornerback? Is Javarius Ward going to be your guy going forward? Is DeAndre Baker, what's he have? I know they're kind of counting on DeAndre Baker this year, and that'd be nice. He was a former first rounder, but is he completely healthy? Or do you want to draft a cornerback early on? Offensive line, of course, you can always do that. I will have no qualms if they decide to draft a guard or a center. I think tackle's fine with Lucas Niang and Orlando Brown. Those are your two future tackles, at least. To me, that's the beauty, is you can go anywhere you want. And again, I like linebacker. I would be okay with that. I thought at 31, if Nick Bolton was still there from Mizzou, I would have no problems with it. But no, look, because I do think he was a realistic pick at that spot. But I think that's the beauty, is now Brett Veach in Kansas City, they're not pigeonholed, and they can go and draft for the future, which is very nice.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you. But again, I was looking more so outside of the draft next week. So I still think that Kansas City is going to look to address the wide receiver position because, again, I know you said that they don't have to. Granted, they do have a number of wide receivers. And the one thing I know about Brett Veach, and what I can tell by listening to his voice and just hearing that he will give you some half truths and half measures. And
sure.
Even when I asked him about Antonio Brown, he never once said that they weren't interested. He never said that they're not in conversation. He never said anything about not bringing them here to Kansas City. He just talked about the players that they already have here. Remember now, he didn't mention anything about Orlando Brown in the conference earlier today. When the reporter kind of asked him about potential moves and things like that. So I would again say that if I'm Kansas City, basically Patrick has everything that he needs. I still believe, as much as I love DeMarcus, I still believe that they could get you, that you could get a bona fide number 2 wide receiver. Now, he did say, of course, that as you lead up or you get closer to training camp, stuff like that, injuries and things like that, where you might be able to get someone to come in or whatever that could fill that void in. But I still believe, hear me today as we're on here, I still believe that Kansas City is going to acquire Antonio Brown. I know you don't like it, but I just think the way that things are playing, especially the fact that he hasn't re-signed with Tampa Bay. Now, I don't know what it would be. I think it would be more than obviously what Tampa Bay is offering. And if you're Antonio Brown, again, if you can somehow convince Brett Veach and others that you're going to be on your best behavior and they give you a contract, you'll have more guarantees, but you'll also have more incentives to play all 17 games and stay healthy and the team success or whatever, because a lot of your contract could be built off of the team success. So if you're a part of it, great. If you're not, then you're not going to get paid. To me, I'm not saying that he's a missing piece, but if you as much as you, Sterling, are not convinced that DeMarcus Robinson is that guy as the number 2, and none of us are that easy on McCall Hardman as a number 2 right now. Again, if that is your only question mark, especially when teams are going to be doubling up on Tyreek as well as Kelsey, I do not have a problem. As much as I don't like the guy, I do not have a problem because it's about wins and losses. If you can get Antonio Brown, I think that he becomes a difference maker in Kansas City because now if he's anything like he was in Tampa Bay and he gets a little bit more again. Now the other thing is as well, you got to remember he came in mid-season, so it wasn't like he worked out with the team and stuff. He did everything just really on the fly. If you get him in early in Kansas City training camp and stuff like that, where you get a chance to work with the offense, Patrick and the rest of the offense, man, I'm telling you, I think that would be key. And of course, at the end of the day, everybody, health is a big deal. But if you got, I think if you add Antonio Brown with this offense, along with what you already got with Tyreek and Kelsey, man, I really think that even if you go with a 3 wide receiver set, you still got Kelsey in there. I think AB, whether he's with McCole or whether he's with DeMarcus, whatever, I think he helps them elevate their play as well. So that to me is the next move that I think Kansas City should make.
So I don't think it's out of the equation. I've never said I don't think it's going to happen. I wouldn't like it to happen though. Yeah. That's where I'm at with Antonio Brown. I mean, it makes sense to an extent as far as the actual on field. It makes sense for Antonio Brown to be in Kansas City. It does. I'm not going to disagree with that. My thing is, I just would prefer if he wasn't in Kansas City. if that makes sense.
Well,
I think it's a possibility.
Well,
I think it's a
I remember last year. Hey, I told you last year that you could see a scenario where the Chiefs had both Le'Veon and AB here in Kansas City. So, so I mean, I talked about it last year. We had Le'Veon. There's still a possibility again of Antonio Brown coming to Kansas City again. I'm just like you. You know, I gave him the nickname "Can't Get Right," but I have to put my feelings aside and as an objective reporter covering the team. If I'm trying to win a Super Bowl, and here's one other thing, Tyreek Hill is I think you're probably the same height as Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is going to be facing number one defenders and bigger players or whatever. Now, granted, he's kind of stocky, but you don't want to take in a whole bunch of hits and stuff, being doubled and being tossed around and stuff. So you want somebody who can legitimately take the top off and kind of threaten the defense as well to go along with Tyreek. Now he's not as fast speed wise as Tyreek, but he's still fast and he's still quick and he's still shifty. I'm telling you, just from a football perspective or from a football move, I think AB is the next tumbling block to fall for Kansas City.
I would say from a football move, it makes a lot of sense because Antonio Brown is not afraid to go over the middle. We've seen it time and time again. Antonio Brown is not afraid to get hit. Tyreek Hill, I don't want him getting hit. Tyreek Hill, we've seen him, break a collarbone, his clavicle. We've seen Tyreek Hill get hurt before. I feel like Tyreek Hill about once every other game is somewhere limping off the field. He doesn't really miss any mini games or mini snaps, but it always makes me concerned because Tyreek Hill is, if he falls, if Tyreek Hill is no longer in this lineup for a couple games, you're looking at legitimately right now D-Rob or McCole Hardman as your number one. I mean, let that sink in just for 1 second. Just let that sink in. That's what you'd be looking at as your number one. I'm not comfortable with that. And I think that's where most of my trepidation comes from is like if you look at it and say you have Tyreek Hill at number one and then D-Rob and McCole at 2, 3, like, okay, at least we have Travis Kelce, who's the equalizer at tight end. But if Tyreek for some reason goes down, which we've seen him get hurt here and there for games, I would be extremely, extremely nervous as far as the wide receiver production would go.
Here's the thing, and granted, McCole, DeMarcus, Byron, they've played in this offense for the last 2, 3, 4 seasons. DeMarcus since 2016. But if and again, we had discussion on yesterday. If you see a lot of these elite quarterbacks, they only have quote unquote one A1 receiver. As you mentioned yesterday, Michael Thomas along with Drew Brees. Aaron Rodgers has Devontae. Now Tom Brady. Again, remember, Tom Brady didn't have any receivers outside of Randy Moss and Wes Welker, Julie Edelman, and stuff like
outside
that.
Outside of Randy Moss.
Well, yeah. I thought I said it, but you have to remember that's over a 19-year span. But when he picked his place in to go to Tampa Bay, they already had Pro Bowl wide receivers and Pro Bowl tight ends. It's just that Jameis Winston couldn't keep the ball going to the defensive side of the field, and so Brady finally had a chance to have a stellar offense to where really he had his pick of the litter, and of course bringing in Gronk and then bringing in Antonio Brown. He has so many weapons that hell, they brought in Leonard Fournette. You had depth for days. Again, Kansas City where Patrick has A1 and A2 when you got Kelce and you got Tyreek. But like you said, if one of them go down, then you expect others to step up. Well, look. If somehow McCole Hardman or DeMarcus are double teamed as your bona fide number one because Tyreek goes down, well, you're in trouble. But again, if you got Antonio Brown on the opposite side, AB's been a number one for all of his career except for the last year and a half. When he and so again, I think if you bring him in, one, it's gonna make everybody else step their game up because they're gonna because look, if I'm a wide receiver, if I'm DeMarcus, damn, you bringing Antonio Brown. Well, I feel kind of disrespected. Well, you should feel disrespected because if your game was elevated, we wouldn't have to bring Antonio Brown in. But I think if AB's in, I think that becomes a security blanket, not only for Patrick, but for Tyreek and even for Kelce. Because what you want to do you want these players to have their career kind of extended, but you also want to make sure that they're healthy as well. And I'm telling you, if you bring somebody like AB in, who will garner not only the respect of the defensive coordinators and the defensive players, you're probably not going to be doubling up Tyreek most of the game, because either one of these players can take it off the top. So now you really got to be able to pick your poison if you're a DC.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, and I like the idea of knowing what you have. I like the idea of previous NFL success rather than the what if and what could be. Like, just for example, I was doing a little bit of just quick third and fourth round draft picks at wide receiver. You could end up with Kenny Golladay. You could end up with Chris Conley. You know what I'm saying? Third and fourth round wide receivers, it's such a, I don't want to say a crapshoot, because these players have obviously worked very hard, and everyone tries to know what they're doing, but it's very difficult to hit all the time in the third and fourth round, fifth round when you're trying to get these wide receivers. It's not an easy gig, as we saw with DK Metcalf going after guys like McCole Hardman. I always get his name wrong, but like Terry McLaughlin, McLaurin, the guy for the wide receiver for the Redskins. It's tough trying to nail and get the exact right pick, the right guy to fit your team.
All I will say is, listen to me, and you can't go wrong. I know we got to go to break because we do have bills to pay. You're listening to Darren and Sterling right here on ESPN Kansas City.
Family Leisure is having our Factory Direct sale. Looking forward to spring for patio furniture or a new hot tub? Family Leisure has factory incentives going on now. Do you want to start a new career? Family Leisure is growing and wants you to join our championship family. If you want to be the best, come join the best at Family Leisure, where family and fun come together. Now hiring for sales, service, warehouse, Bobcat operators, and more. Family Leisure, K10 and Ridgeview in Olathe.
Awesome! Are you looking for unique sporty clothing and merchandise that makes you stand out from the crowd? Do you love Kansas City sports teams? The Cherry Company designs and creates fashion-forward gear for athletes, avid sports fans, and everything in between. Check out our famous Casey Mahomes denim jacket at cherrysportsgear.com or find it in stores in the Made in KC, Lee Summit, or Plaza location. Sport style, sport local, sport Cherry. Want a 20% off discount? Mention 810 Sports in store or use code 810 online. Stay on top and visit cherrysportsgear.com today.
Hey, this is Stephen St. John, and I've been listening to how great Nate feels after going to Stretch Zone, so I had to try it out myself, and I feel fantastic. And my wife, Susan, she's had 2 years of daily back pain, which is already feeling better after a few sessions. Stretch Zone will help you relieve stiffness and soreness, increase and maintain range of motions, and enhance physical skills. Stretch Zone is located in Lenexa and Overland Park. For more information, check out StretchZone.com.
Join Union Broadcasting in thanking local companies that care. Union Broadcasting salutes CBD American Shaman for their support of the Derek Thomas and Neil Smith Third and Long Foundation, sacking illiteracy among urban youth. Through social, cultural, and educational activities, the Third and Long Foundation helps participating children in school and beyond. You can also help by donating at thirdandlong.org. Thank you, CBD American Shaman, for being a company that cares.
Hi, this is Toby Tobin along with Jason Gutenkoff from Lewisburg Ford in Lewisburg, Kansas. Hi, Jason.
Hello, Toby.
This is Ford Truck Month, but you've done it again.
We have, Toby. We love Truck Month, and we did do it again. We are the #1 F-150 dealer in the greater Kansas City area for the 4th year in a row here at Lewisburg Ford.
That is absolutely amazing. How come?
Because we sell everything for $50 over factory invoice, Toby. We've won the President's Award 18 times. That's unheard of. And we've got the biggest selection of anybody in the area, Toby.
Anybody interested in a Ford F-150 pickup needs to go to Lewisburg Ford.
Right.
What are some deals?
Right now, Toby, the brand new 21 F-150, it's hot, it's gorgeous, it's got a big 12-inch touchscreen, and we've got up to $10,000 off top MSRP at Lewisburg Ford.
Okay, this is easy. The best place to buy a Ford pickup is at Lewisburg Ford in Lewisburg, Kansas. What's your toll-free number?
816-444-2300.
Or LewisburgFord.com.
Well,
You know you make me wanna take my heels.
Welcome back to Darren and Sterling here on ESPN Kansas City, 1510 AM, 94.5 FM, 1510.com, Twitter and Facebook Live. The move the Chiefs did makes me want to shout. Darren, this is exactly what it makes me want to do. I saw something pretty funny on Twitter. You want to know another former proven tackle the Chiefs got a while ago?
Who's that?
Willie Roaf.
He did. And look, and if you stop and think about it, this is what the starting offensive line could look like next year. You got Orlando Brown at left tackle, Joe Thuney at left guard, Austin Blythe at center, the Doctor at right guard, and Lucas Niang at tackle. Hold on, backed up by Yasser Durant, Andrew Wiley, Nick Allegretti, Kyle Long, and Mike Remmers. Now, if that doesn't say Tampa Bay, hold my beer, watch what I do this offseason, I don't think nothing will. Now, I do want to make one thing clear, because Sunday, please tune in to Sports Radio 18 WHB from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. I will have, as an exclusive, a 1-hour live interview with NFLPA's Executive Director, Demore Smith. So we'll be talking about everything as it relates to, matter you talk about this particular just little draft pick, or trade. But all that being said, please tune in Sunday. Demore Smith will be joining me live for 1 hour, Sunday, 10 a.m. on Sports Radio 18 WHB on the show.
Yeah, make sure you guys tune into that, because on Sunday I will not be there. It'll be my birthday, and I will be doing
nothing. And happy birthday to
Darren.
you, Sterling.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Both April birthdays, right?
Yes.
Look at that. Look at the April boys go. We're out here killing it.
April 3rd. Here's what's funny. This past Sunday was Demore's birthday.
See, April birthdays stay winning. Thank you guys for listening. This was Darren and Sterling right here on ESPN Kansas City. We'll be back live in studio on Monday. Until Monday,